Minus 90 seconds. T minus 80 seconds. T minus 70 seconds. T minus 60 seconds. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds.
Hey there, Outposters. How you doing, you crazy, big, beautiful bastards? Welcome to Outpost Frequencies, also known as the Sunday Roast. And this is me, Drunken Yoda, waiting to go with another wonderful episode from lastmovieoutpost.com. All your wonderful place for movie news, streaming news, and everything to do about film. We are the cool news now. Hey, I almost got through that without screwing it up. All right, who's clicking on me? Who's clicking my Slack here? Somebody's saying still in the restaurant. Okay, so Matt's gonna be late. The hell with him, I say. We don't need him. And of course, I wasn't really reading the banners very well, Boba, so I am sorry, but I screwed up and deleted a bunch of them, think I had to redo them all, and then realized that you had done a bunch of them, so I feel bad about that. But you can add them all back in there when we get started. And look, when he gets on here, guys, I'll plead ignorance. I'm going to say I have no idea. We'll just see if you guys bust me or not on the chat. So anyway, for right now, you got me. And that's okay because I'm going to get started with Picard. And Phil did not want any spoilers. And if you haven't watched Picard, or if you haven't watched the last episode of Picard, I gotta say, it made me blubber like a little girl at the end. And I was kind of shocked at how well the member berries worked on me, because typically I have gotten to a point where I just roll my eyes every time they show thing I know. And in fact, I've gotten really cynical about it. And I look back on, why does like The Force Awakens with the Millennium Falcon, where they say, the garbage will do, and then they pair on, there's the Millennium Falcon with all its wonderful musical accompaniment, and I just go, and that's it. And here they bring back the Enterprise D at the end. Spoilers. Apparently, Geordi pulled the Enterprise D saucer from Veridian 3 from the end of Star Trek Generations, because the Prime Directive, they didn't want to contaminate the system, because there was a populated planet in that system, and it wouldn't be too much of a stretch that in many years they may go explore the other planet and find this big giant saucer section. Go, what the hell? So they picked it up, and Joy took it to the Fleet Museum. And then he's been rebuilding it for 20 years. He took the Star Drive section from the Syracuse, some nacelles, that kind of thing. And he just began rebuilding it. Now, the hilarious thing, the first nitpicking thing I hear from everybody is like, Picard said it couldn't be salvaged at the end of Next Generation or Generations. Yeah, they couldn't get it salvaged and rebuilt and make it the flagship of the Federation within a year or two. They already had the E. They knew the Borg and the Dominion War was going on, so it was time to move up. But a dude like Geordi taking it and rebuilding it for 20 years, taking spare parts and stuff and doing it on his own with, obviously robot help and things like that and whatever clout he has being a Commodore in the ship museum. Yeah, he could probably restore it. Not salvageable, I feel like, is a very vague term that has a lot of it's contextual, and let's not get weird about some of this stuff, okay, guys? Let's not get too pedantic. I know we're all nitpicking nerds and everything, but when I started saying that, it's like you're just looking for things to be pissed off on. Now you're just looking for it. You just want to hate it, guys. Come on. Terry Matalas worked up this whole nostalgia thing, and quite frankly, because the Next Generation crew kind of got crapped on by the movies, and then you see Picard the first 2 seasons and they were garbage, and I feel like this is not just a big love letter, but a bit of an apology to the fans and saying, you know what, we're going to give you what you want and we're going to try to do it in the best way possible. And I look at this, and I look at how Matalas is doing this entire season. And he's doing his best, I think, to write good explanations, good Trek-ish explanations. I've been watching some old Trek lately, TNG, even some Voyager. And, not everything in there was, spot on, perfect. There's a lot of flaws in that. This has those kind of flaws to me. But the important thing is that it has the spirit of Trek. It has the love and the respect of Trek and the respect of the characters. And it feels like that's what he's trying to accomplish. Something that says Star Trek is a good thing and it can be a good thing again. Now, I know, unfortunately, the evil among us will take advantage of Matalas' good work, the Kurtzmans, the Goldsmans, the Paramount suits, and they will take this and say, see, people love Trek again. Go ahead, Kurtzman, you can do another show. And that show is going to be garbage. It's going to be a Star Trek Academy show that nobody's going to like because Matalas isn't going to have anything to do with it. And this is what I think pisses me off most, is that untalented hacks who are taking what talented people have done before them and wearing it like skin suits. And when people start seeing that, they grab somebody else talented to revitalize it just enough so they can continue wearing it like skin suits and continue raping and pillaging this mine of intellectual property. And that's all Star Wars has done. And yeah, I mean, I like the Bad Batch. There's a couple of things, but for the most part, it's the more I see the whole, the more I see, like when you first saw Force Awakens, it's like there was nothing else. And in Disney Trek, you go, okay, they just redid Star Wars, but kind of like these characters, maybe there's something here. Now you look back on it 8 years later, you look back on the entirety of everything that Disney has created, and knowing all of the nonsense. I mean, you can't just say that this all happened in a vacuum. We know all the nonsense that's gone on since then, as far as politically and culturally and all that kind of stuff. We've seen these people get exposed on various stages and on various platforms and interviews and whatever. And so you kind of look back upon it and you realize it's just a bunch of cynical content by people who hate those who made this content so popular. The prime demographic that loves this content is the prime demographic that they hate simply for being that demographic. And so you have really awful, evil people that are running these things. And somehow a guy who actually loves Star Trek, a guy who actually respects Star Trek, got in there and was able to make a season 3 that's been good television. And he's managed to make the comebacks feel earned and authentic. And I'm sure your nitpicking Trek brain could say, yeah, but, and come up with all kinds of technobabble bullshit of why this couldn't happen or that couldn't happen or whatever. But, I mean, there should be something for the effort. There should be credit for the effort. And the effort to me has been really good. The effort to me has been impressive. It feels well thought out. I'll give you an example. The reason why what ended up happening at the end of this episode is all the Borg needed. The reason why they needed Jack is because when they took Picard back in 1990 in The Best of Both Worlds, they didn't just change his implants, they changed his DNA a bit. And that was mentioned actually in the episode. And so he took that of an idea, and then when he gets diagnosed with Irumodic syndrome, we find out, no, it just kind of looked like that. It was a misdiagnosis. What it really was dormant Borg DNA nonsense in his frontal lobe. And he passed that down to Jack. Jack is now a bit of a transmitter because Picard doesn't have a body. He's not alive anymore. Maybe they would have taken him. But Jack is alive. He has this same transmitter they thought was Irumodic syndrome. And they're using it to activate all the DNA in the young people. Now, how do the young people get this DNA? Well, they put this code, this genetic code, into the transporter. And the transporter, it's kind of funny, apparently uses dedupe or compression or codex or whatever you want to call it, that says, for most life forms, for most humans, there's this common DNA they all have. So just use that. And then put in the special stuff, and that makes the transporter work a little bit better and faster. That's how it gets faster, I guess, because they're using video compression. So I'm like, okay. I mean, it's an attempt. I don't know. I mean, the transporter is bullshit anyway. But if you're going to try, at least it feels authentic. It feels thought out. And so they put all this in there to use the transporters against them. Have they been talking about the transporters all season? Did they have the first changeling got aboard as a transporter chief by taking the place of the transporter chief that was on the Titan? Have they been doing all this throughout? Yes. And they say it's in the frontal lobe, and that it only takes effect because the young people are still developing, and so they can take this stuff. The older people, they don't get activated by the Borg. So great. Jack runs off half-cocked, and he's going to try to fight the Borg Queen. Of course, it doesn't work. He gets assimilated, and now they send out the signal. And then all the young people get assimilated. Why did Picard hear the Borg in Star Trek First Contact? There was never a good explanation of that. He just heard them, but we never knew why. Now we know why. And you know what? I'm kind of like, hey, I like that. An attempt to give me a reasonable explanation of why that worked. Nice. Sweet. I love it. So there's a lot of fun that I'm having with Picard right now. And I'm hoping that as we move on, we only got one more episode, right? Will the newest version, will the shows that come after this, because there's no way they're making any more Picard. Patrick Stewart is 82 years old. The others, many of them are in their 70s. I think the youngest ones are in their 60s. And I just don't see there can be another hurrah. And if they're smart, they'll say, you know what, we're going out on a high note. Let's, the high note we never really got. Let's just leave it be. And they probably will. Other thing, there's one thing I really disliked in this show. It's not terrible thematically and everything, but I just grown to like the character so much is that they killed Shaw. And Shaw, as he's dying and Seven is leaning over him trying to help him, and he's just like, no, it's your ship now. You have the con 7 and 9, and then he passes away. It's like it's a good moment. Finally gives the respect to Seven that she deserves. Or she deserved, at least from the Voyager 7. I'm not so sure about the first 2 seasons of Picard 7. But I'll give her due in this season. She's been good. So I've really enjoyed that. And then finally we have the entire crew gets away. Of course, it's only the 7. For reasons unknown to me, 7 and Rafi stay behind. Why? Because, come on, it had to be the 7. It couldn't have anybody else there on the old ship, on the Enterprise D. And I got to admit, my favorite ship will always and forever remain the refit, the movie version of the original Enterprise. Or the A, which, come on, it's the same damn ship. But that look, I love it. I think it's the most beautiful. I think it's the most perfect version of the Starfleet ships. But I got to admit that D looked damn good. And I'd forgotten how much I really liked it. It's obviously been a ship that has grown on me. And I think a big part of that is the interior, and just we have so much history with it. So that's as much about it as anything. It's become its own character in a lot of ways. So it looked great, and they did it right. And it's like, is it somewhat contrived? Was there better ways to do this? Is there ways that make more sense within Star Trek that isn't such a nostalgia trip? Probably. Did I thematically, emotionally, story-wise, did it feel authentic? Did it feel earned? Did it feel like something something that I didn't feel manipulated? I mean, every story manipulates you. Who are we kidding, right? Every story manipulates you. That's the point of the story. It's to manipulate your emotions, and that's fine. But are you doing it for corporate, cheap, inauthentic reasons? Or are you doing it for story reasons? This feels like you're doing it for story reasons. This feels like it was all earned. It's building on a history that has been there since 1987, so we're talking 35 years now. And I was fine with it. I was absolutely fine. In fact, I was actually quite surprised about how emotional I got when I saw it. Because I had heard the rumors, and they were saying, oh yeah, you're going to end up on the E. They're going to end up on the E. I was like, that's nice, but I mean, come on, that would be overboard. They wouldn't go that far. And they did, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, I was getting choked up. I was like, I can't believe this has affected me like this. But it did. It got me good. And when I want to watch and rewatch the episode and the entire season again and again, yeah, that's why I give it a 5 out of 5. If you got me that hooked and I'm really happy and enjoying myself, then yeah, I'm enjoying myself. But that doesn't mean that I'm like, I don't understand. It's like everybody's like, oh, now you're cucked, or now you don't care, or now you're just eating the member berries or something. But Phil says he's almost here. He's almost here, and then he says, "Don't cry till I get there." Now I think I did all my crying the other day. But he'll be here soon. Don't tell him that I screwed up all the banners, please. So, yeah, I mean, we've been decrying all the nostalgia and member berries for a long time. We keep saying we need something new. We need something new, and I still stand by that. I still stand by that. But if they make something that's actually good, if the story has, good plot points, the pacing is good. It's not perfect. I still have problems with episode 7 and the gurneys and some of the torturous aspects. I still have some problems with certain things. But overall, like, Riker is been given his due as a character. You feel like you finally got some finished arc with him. I feel the same with Picard. Worf, I would like to have seen a little less humor with him. I think he has had some good moments, but he hasn't had any real emotional or character arc type moments. Now, I could kind of forgive that with Worf, because Worf and Michael Dorn has had more screen time than anybody else in the series across all of Star Trek, between 7 seasons of Next Gen, 4 movies, and 4 seasons of Deep Space Nine. His character has been explored to death, and I don't think that there wasn't still more to mine there. I'm not as irritated about him having less, because I feel like I know so much more about the character. Riker, I felt, never got enough of a good character arc. Never really explored him well enough. And I feel like this rights that wrong. Of course, Picard had plenty of character arc. And oh, by the way, can I say I called it? It was going to be the Borg. I heard people say it's going to be the Pa race. I'm like, you know how many people that love Star Trek Next Generation have no idea what the hell went on in Deep Space Nine or Voyager? They don't care. It's not going to be. You're not going to get the Pa race or some deep cut like that. It's not a deep cut to me. And I would love to see a return of Deep Space Nine. I would love to see those characters come back. For one more go round. Unfortunately, Rene Auberjonois is gone, so we will never get Odo again. And I think the rest are all okay, as far as I know. But it's, if they're going to do that, it's got to be a true continuation of the Deep Space Nine, the wormhole, and the Bajor aliens, and all that. And that is a lot of dense lore to get through. And if you haven't been watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, people are going to have a lot of trouble getting back into that. It's going to suck. It's going to be great if they do it right, if Vitalis did it. But there's no way they were going to do all that. And I thought it was pretty hilarious that people were thinking that. I was like, come on. It's Picard. It's going to be about the Borg. That being said, I do feel like this is finally it feels like you could just skip those other 2 Borg seasons, even First Contact. Just go right into this. I guess you kind of need First Contact. Like, the Borg was ruined when they put in a queen. The Borg was absolutely ruined when they put in a queen, because you're basically dealing with one all-powerful entity. It could be a Q at that point, with all the emotions and all the power-hungry ideas and failings of people. What I liked about the Borg before they put in a queen was that it was just basically communism to the ultimate, its ultimate end. Just everybody, just a mindless drone working for the giant collective. And you were completely subsumed. Your group identity was the only thing that mattered. You're completely subsumed individually. And that's what I loved about the Borg, or that's what truly frightened me about the Borg. So they should have kept doing that, but no, they had to bring in a queen because they think of it like insects. I'm like, no, that's not how you should do it. So, but, of course it was going to be the Borg with Picard. I will say, I wonder, this is my own theory here, guys, and I don't know if this is true or not. and I've never heard anybody say one way or the other. But I look at this ending where only the young people were subsumed by this technology to the point that it tried to change their bodies. And they all are just mindlessly going for this technocratic algorithm that's been put into their head. You see where I'm going with this, right? I feel like it's a big fuck you to the social media, and to Generation Z and their inability to think past a certain mindset. Now I know there's some of this doesn't work. Some of this is, forced upon them, but I do feel like that it's a kind of a mind virus that's been pushed on them. And I feel like Twitter and TikTok and all this is kind of a mind virus. I found it fascinating that only the young were affected by this. I know there was a lot of technobabble BS, but again, get out of the trick mindset. Go to thematically. Go to what are we trying to symbolize here? If it's the woke culture being woke communism culture that has been perpetrated by a mind virus through technology, I'm just saying, guys, I feel like it fits really well. And I hope, I guarantee that Metalis would never say it out loud, even if that's what he meant. I guarantee he'll never say it out loud because he wants to work. So I don't blame him for never confirming this, or at least not doing it until he gets to a point where he has FU money and doesn't care anymore. Like when he gets to a Scott Adams point where he's like, to hell with it. I don't care if they destroy my strip. I'm going to say what I want to say. And he may never say it. He may never say it. And he maybe he doesn't even think it. I don't know. I don't have any proof of that. It just felt like it was a big FU to technology, social media, woke mind virus. I mean, they're altering these kids' bodies. That's what they're doing. And it's everybody under 25. I don't know. What do you think? I just wonder. What do you think? Do you think that may be the message that he was putting across here? Maybe don't fall for all this woke nonsense. Don't be a slave to the technological algorithm. Don't be a drone. Be an individual. Just throwing that out there. I felt like even if that wasn't the message, it's the message I saw in it, and I think there is some evidence to say that it works. Setlick, it's the best of the worst. I honestly, Setlick, I think that Picard season 3 is an undeniably good show. Not just. I don't feel like I have to put some adjectives onto it, or some modifiers to it. It's the best of, for a new Trek show. It's really good. No, I think it's actually a very good show. I think Picard season 3 is actually a very good show, and I'm appreciative of what they've been able to do. How do you do there, fellow Elmo bros? It's just me this time, and a Muso, but happy to see you here. And I haven't seen past episode 2 of season 3, so I can't say what the message is yet. Well, I don't want to spoil anything for you, and I do suggest watching it to the end. I would say the weakest episode so far has been episode 7, but I think when you binge it, and actually I've rewatched that episode, it isn't, knowing what to expect, it isn't quite as bad on my initial viewing, though I stand by my review. But it's I think it's been a fantastic season. Now I got one more episode to go, but I really don't see them screwing it up. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's been great. So thank you for all the comments. I'm sure Boba will get here in a second. I do want to give a shout out to a Big Gator. Now I take this show and I cut it up and I throw it out there for everybody to see. And I'll probably pronounce it wrong. Setlick and Big Gator, you both have been just commenting the hell out of all we see it, and I see it anyway. I try to respond where I can, or at least give a thumbs up or something like that. But I do want to say I appreciate it. I appreciate the responses and the comments, and I appreciate all that kind of stuff. It's not unnoticed, and I did want to give a shout out. So Big Gator and Setlick, thank you very much for all of that, and Moso and Setlick and everybody else that's watching. Thank you very much for being on here. I do appreciate that as well. So that's Picard so far. I did start watching a little bit of. I need to put up some banners here so I know what the hell I'm talking about. Let's put up a banner here for this, because this is how I cut it up. I look for the next banner that I know what I'm talking about. Let's see, what was it? I've been watching. What did I watch? I watched Voyager and Next Gen recently. I don't know. Do I really want to talk about that? You guys want me to talk about that? I can talk about it. I'm waiting for Phil to get on here. So now I'm padding. I'm as bad as season 1 or 2 of Picard. I'm trying to figure out what to talk about. Oh, wait a minute. He's here. Me off, you son of a bitch.
I'm so sorry. Hello, Yoda. How are you?
You lying piece of shit. You're not sorry at all.
Sorry, I was signing in. Hello, everybody. So sorry about that. I had one of those work things I had to attend. But the good thing is, I got free sweets, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. Okie doke. What are we on?
So I only saw a few banners up there, and I don't know if there was more.
Okay, doke. Well, you've had some good interaction from everybody. Hello, everyone. How nice. Okay, banners. Right. Okay, so you've just been waffling on for the last half an hour, have you?
I did a big Picard. I talked about Picard.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. That's good, because I've been trying to hold off on Picard because I kind of want to binge it when it's all done. Where's all the other stuff I put up there?
I don't know. I thought that was last week's stuff. I didn't just delete them randomly without looking.
Man, right, okay. So that's really weird, because no, Twister and Lena and such. I put up a load of
yes, I fucked up.
trailers.
Okay, all right. I didn't think you put all the goddamn banners up, and I was getting rid of them. And then I looked at them and went, "Oh shit!"
I said quite clearly, I've got everything ready, and obviously, what that means to Yoda is I'll just delete everything he's done.
I just assumed you meant you put up the post and started this. I didn't know you did the banners, and I wasn't. Well, I got on here like I had to go straight from the shower right to here. I was moving at top speed, and I wasn't paying attention to details. So that is my bad. I screwed up.
It's not like us to be like that. It's usually we're much more professional. So slightly disappointed. Right, let's go on to then Mandalorian this week. Which I think I spelt right. So you've talked about Picard, but Mando this week was actually quite a good episode. Although it was too little too late to sort of, there's only one episode now to finish the series.
You're gonna have to. I liked it. I agreed. I thought it was a good episode, but I don't remember a damn thing about it. What was it? Like they started
off with.
They went to Mandalorian, and then they got on a big ship
boat thing, and then they had a fight over chess.
An actual land yacht.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's now behind Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan has now become the main focus of the entire thing, and the Mandos are a sidekick. And they went underground. They got attacked by troopers in Beskar armor, and it turns out that, spoilers, Moff Gideon has set up base on Mandalore, and he's been mining Beskar to make a whole bunch of troopers with Beskar armor, which I thought was quite a good twist. I was quite, that was all right.
Well, here's the thing, right? You only needed 2 episodes to do this storyline. You needed the one where maybe he got away or something, and you could do one where, because they only needed one to get them all together. And the second one is this episode. And all the other shit that we've had this year is padding and filler because they didn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah, this was the problem. Bo-Katan. No. Well, yeah, she is very manly, but no, she's still a female, and she's now the main protagonist of The Mandalorian. The show about Mandalorian has now become the Bo-Katan show with her sidekick Din and Grogu. But I thought Moff
Special
Gideon
guest
coming back was
star,
actually
The
quite
Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's right, in his own show. But I thought, like I say, it was a better episode, but there's now 1 episode left, and they've obviously sort of saving this, whether it's going to end on a cliffhanger or not, I'm assuming it will, because I'm assuming they will get another series out of it, but it's just sort of, Wednesday with the last watch of it, and then I'll get my Wednesdays back.
What'd you think of Mecha Grogu?
I hated the fact that they turned Robo Grogu. I was calling him Robo Grogu, but
it's like his own little Pacific Rim going on there.
It was to me again. As soon as I saw it, I thought, new toy. You can get Grogu in a new toy now with arms and legs, and it says yes and no. Happy days. And I kind of don't like the fact that they've turned Grief Karga into like a sidekick, a comic sidekick. Now it's a bit,
he's a bit ridiculous,
and just a bit redundant, and just sort of playing, proper second fiddle and just there for comic relief type of thing. And so Robo Grogu, I was not a big fan.
I mean, even in a good episode, there's stuff where you just go,
yeah,
and that's it. That's your whole look, yeah. What?
And so it was good, and I'm kind of looking for the finale. But I mean, the finale is obviously, they're not going to do anything close to the finale of season 2. It's just going to be a cliffhanger. Again, spoilers, not massive, but spoilers. But I mean, Din's been caught by Moff Gideon, but obviously the others, Bo-Katan will obviously come and save him because it's the Bo-Katan show now. Being relegated in his own show.
It should have been the reverse. If you had Bo-Katan get captured, and Din has to figure out how to save her.
Yes,
and
that would have been much better.
That would have been awesome. That would have been, because then it would have been like him trying, because then you would have had the conflict of him like going, well, you're not the leader. She's the one with the sword. Why should we follow you? And he has to figure it out.
Yeah, and even though we've got to fight for her because technically she is the leader and everything else, even though she's now the leader because of a loophole, as I pointed out in last week's episode. But yes, it's that would have been a much better option that she got caught, because it would have given more bargaining power to give Gideon as well. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, there's a lot more that makes sense by doing it that way. Though I'm sure Disney would have done it the cheapest way possible. If Din Djarin has to talk them all into going, it's like, why should we follow you? Because Grogu's so cute. Oh, you're right.
Yeah. I've got to go on a really dangerous mission and we all might die. Yeah, I don't really fancy it. Grogu's coming. Oh, go on then. Oh, I can't say no to his little face, can you? Oh, look at him.
Look at that little merchandising opportunity there. He's so adorable. Money.
Yeah, that's right. Look at that little money toy. So ultimately, like I say, it was a good episode. I mean, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because it was just sort of above average. But it's just, like, as I say, it's too little, too late. And you've got next week's episode, which is the last one, and it's kind of like you say. There's been 2, 3 episodes which have been focused on the main story arc. The rest of it's just been filler.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm watching it through inertia, and so we could talk about it, get the clicks, because we're a horse. But I'm kind of like, I'm just not compelled by anything. Before you got on, I was talking all about Star Trek, just how compelling all this is. Yes, there's a lot of member berries. Yes, there's a lot of other stuff going on, but how authentic it feels, and how I'm just drawn along by it, which is all I'm asking for out of a story. I mean, I'm not, it's you could do all this cheap stuff if I'm engaged and I'm compelled by the story and the characters. Then we'll do whatever. And they're not doing that in this at all.
No, I'm exactly the same as you. It's got to be about the stories. It's got to be about the characters. I've seen movies with no special effects and no sort of big budget that I've been so much more engaged on the characters than I have of, say, like Avatar. Avatar, again, is just one of those series, one of that movie, and I've got about an hour of the way through it. They've met the water people now, and I'm not engaged with anyone. I just don't care about any of them, and there's still 2 hours to go. Yeah, it looks beautiful, but that's it,
It's a movie you actually have to binge. It's so damn long.
Yeah, and hang on, sorry, just looking at the comments there. So he got a robot and he's walking around in a corpse. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
it's
that Frank over there? That looks like Frank. Oh my God, what have they done to him?
I think it's thematic of Disney, what it's done to Star Wars, wearing it like a skin suit. I think that's the theme there.
Yeah. It's, I mean, like I say, the fact that they are...
There you go.
Yeah. The fact that they are just dragging this out and milking it for every penny they've got. Speaking of which, if we're going to move on from Mando, hang on, let me type this up.
Again. I am sorry about that. I just assumed those were for last week.
So, I wrote this one up this week. Apparently, there is going to be a Stranger Things animated show under the category of milking things to death. Obviously, Stranger Things has been an absolutely massive hit for Netflix. They have had, literally millions and millions of people watching the show and everything else, but it is coming to an end at the end of season 5. The Duffer brothers, who originally created it, have come up with, I've just got to remind myself, because it doesn't just stop with an animated show, but I think they are also doing a stage production and another live action show, which is a spin-off, but nothing to do with the original characters. Because, like I say, you can't leave these things alone. Something good's come out and we all love it. So obviously we've now got to milk it to death and squeeze every little thing that we can out of it.
I feel like IPs are like the new gold rushes, right? It's like when we had the gold rush in California, right? Just everybody just streamed out there and stripped the area dry of gold as quickly as they could. I feel like that's what IPs are anymore.
You can't just make an original good movie now because it's got to become a franchise. The whole Scream thing, Friday. There are so many franchises which have just gone on Fast and Furious. And now it seems when there is something original and good, like Stranger Things, which, it's a great show. It's got its faults, but it's a great show. But now it's kind of, right, we only wrote 5 series and we're going to finish those 5 series. Netflix are going, no, but we're making like tons of money out of this, so we're going to have to find something to drag it out. I've just found that one of the producers who's looking at doing the animation is a guy called Eric Robles, who is known for producing Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which I've never heard of. But I looked it up, and the animation for it is very, very kiddish, very, very sort of basic for like Saturday morning kids, about the 10-year-old mark, I would have said. So they're going to do a Stranger Things with that, with Vecna obviously possessing the souls of people and ripping them apart and stuff.
Well, let me irritate you some more. I used to read. I may still have it actually. A Devil Dinosaur book. It was a Jack Kirby.
Okay.
One of the last Jack Kirby ones in the 70s, and it was with Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy. Moon Boy was like a caveman. He was covered in hair and fur almost. So it was supposed to be way back when, but for whatever reason, I don't remember the origins or anything. But the Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy would go around on adventures, and Devil's Dinosaur would protect him, and they were friends. And he was a big red Tyrannosaurus Rex as opposed to the rest of the dinosaurs, which were regular color. That's why I called him Devil Dinosaur, because they knew about things like devils way back before Christianity. But okay, fine.
Might as well call him Santa Claus Dinosaur.
But clearly they went woke, and that's why you have the show Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl now.
Yeah.
That's the only. That's they gender swapped something that nobody knew the fuck about, other than weirdos like me, and it was clearly just done to, hey, we have this property in Marvel, let's do this Disney bullshit, and we'll make it gender swap because that's what.
Why not?
That's how we do things here at Disney.
That's how the young people are being raised these days. They're being raised to be gender swapped, no matter what the situation.
Yeah. They want to do all this girl power, but then they make the girls turn into boys.
I'm a bit,
I don't understand
with the old girl power
anything
thing
anymore.
now. Yeah, I like the fact that women are so bad at being women that men have got to be women to show them how it's done. But yeah, animated productions are much cheaper, obviously, to produce than a live action thing. And I mean, especially now, scenes like Billy and Bobby Brown and what's his name, Wolf. I can't think of his name now, but yeah, they've all gone on to other things now because they're all famous. Obviously, all of a sudden they're sort of like, oh, you want us to come back? Well, this is going to cost you, and so doing an animated show where somebody's impersonating the voice, there we go.
That's a hell of a thing as an actor, right? You could do like nothing, except you were on this one show that has this huge, incredible cult following and everything. And so you're always. I
was going to say, makes you think of Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
Almost.
I call it the Marina Sirtis effect.
Yeah, there you go. Selleck has also said, the original IP gets watered down and outright destroyed. And I've said this time and time again, the more you add to something, the less special it becomes. Yeah. And my example of this is I love banoffee pie. I don't know if you get banoffee pie over there. It's bananas with toffee and cream and on a biscuit layer. It's one of the most beautiful things in the world. If I went to a restaurant and ordered banoffee pie and they brought me out a nice bowl full and I ate it and enjoyed it, and then they brought out another bowl full, I'd think, jackpot, happy days. But after the fifth or sixth bowl full, I would be going a little bit bored of banoffee pie now. I'm getting a little bit sick of it, to be perfectly honest. And this is what Disney and all the other companies are doing. They just keep giving you the same thing and watering it down and adding to it and deconstructing characters and giving you prequels and explaining stuff, and it just becomes less and less special every time they do it.
No, I agree. I mean, I like, I don't really begrudge Stranger Things for 4 seasons, 5 seasons, whatever. I mean, the original Star Trek had 7 seasons and 200 episodes, and I mean, that's fine. But yeah, I think part of the problem is that those older shows, you would have 24, 26 episodes a season, right? And not just Star Trek. I mean, all the shows, they were that much.
Yeah.
And but every episode was its own little story, beginning, middle, and end. And maybe there were some through lines that happened and characters grew or something would change that would change from then on out. But now they make our, giant movies. They make, I mean, as much as I love Picard season 3, it's just a big giant movie. And you could say a trilogy. You could conceivably say a trilogy. 2 4-hour movies and 1 2-hour movie. But the point is that that's how they do it now. It's just they make these giant shows that are nothing but movies. And I was listening to Call Me Chatmo, the former network executive, and he's saying that this is, or maybe it wasn't him, it was somebody else. But they were saying that, Netflix, unfortunately, has gone into cancel mode. So that's a problem when you make a show that is a big giant movie and then you leave it on a cliffhanger and then they cancel it, right? So they never get to be anything because nobody's going to waste their time with the reruns. It's not going to find a cult following because everybody knows it's just going to end on a cliffhanger and they're not going to watch it. Give Firefly credit. They had a through line, but it had individual episodes, individual stories. And it became a long-lasting cult classic that went on forever. Same with the original Star Trek and many others. they have a chance to gain a following and gain an audience, because even though you wish there was more because it got canceled early, you don't feel like you can't be satisfied with what you got. You can't be satisfied with Jupiter Ascending. There's nothing there. It ends, and I don't know what. So I have no desire to revisit it. There's no point.
Anonymous, who says that he lost interest in Stranger Things after the first season. Also, Millie Bobby Brown is a subpar actor. I will give her credit that I do think she's actually quite good in the series. I do think she's genuinely quite good. That is to do, I think, with the rest of the cast, the direction, and everything else. The series itself has been very good. All 4 seasons have been very good to excellent all the way through. They've really nailed it. But again, it's kind of like you were just saying. The problem with it is you can't watch a single episode by itself, because if you missed season 2, episode 3, where so-and-so and so-and-so happened, you're not going to understand what happens in season 3, episode 7, and it's like you say, they've got these arcs that sort of go across the whole thing, that they're not just episodic episodes anymore. They're like you say, they're a whole feature film of literally 9 hours long, which you've got to watch the whole thing to understand the whole premise of it all.
Oh, and Stranger Things is even worse about it, because they've gotten to where it's like, at least with Picard, every episode's an hour. It's an hour. 60 minutes, whatever it is. 55 minutes, whatever it is. With Stranger Things, it might be an hour. It might be an hour 20. I think the last episode was 3.5 hours long. And next season, each episode will be a week long. I don't know. It's just like, guys, come on. You're blurring the lines between feature film and show so much. And the worst part about it is that because they feel like they have to do it this way, this is why you get so many shows that are paced terribly and have so much padding and unnecessary nonsense in it. You guys gotta stop this. I think the reason why something like The Next Generation and even the original Star Trek and some of these older shows resonate and continue on for so long is because they had to make these episodes good stories within 45 minutes, if you include, take out the commercials. So you had to know how to do tight storytelling. It's the same thing that Red Letter Media said about why the original Star Wars works so well. Art through adversity. You are limited by the medium. You are limited by the time. You are limited by the runtime. So you have to make things work within that, and it makes you a better storyteller. But now they can just do whatever they want because you're streaming it. It's the same thing with CGI, right? You do put everything you want on the screen, so nobody gives a damn. All of this has just terribly destroyed storytelling and all this.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Like I say, I am looking forward to season 5 of Stranger Things. I think it's going to be good. A stage play, I'm not interested in. If they do a live action spin-off, again, if the Duffer Brothers are involved, I would give it a go at least. But like I say, this animated show, not interested. Not interested at all. Right, we're moving on to the next thing. Hang on, are you typing it out or am I?
I got something I gotta talk about because it was easily the most entertaining thing I saw this week.
Yeah, no, I did see this and it was beautiful.
I mean, look, guys, if you're looking for entertainment value, watch those excerpts from Elon getting interviewed by the most incompetent reporter the BBC may have ever had.
Professional from the BBC.
I mean, what? So the story behind it is, if you haven't seen it, is that the guy says, "What do you think about all the hateful content on there?" He's like, "Well, give me an example." Well, I've seen more hateful. Well, like you seen it or just in general? Yeah. Well, I saw it in my feed. Well, give me an example. Well, I haven't used that feed in a while. Caleb's probably like, "What the fuck, man? You can't give me one damn example." So now that was the meat and potatoes of the interview that everybody's talking about. The entertaining part is at, I think, near the end when Elon has decided this guy's a complete joke, and so he just keeps asking him if he likes BBC. Not the BBC. If you like BBC. Which is so childish. But,
It was beautiful to watch, because when like I say, this is kind of half the problem, I think, sometimes, that some people ask stupid questions and people just don't reply to them. Where Elon saw the opportunity and said, "No, I'm gonna run with this one. This on you. You've asked me a stupid question, so I'm gonna give you a good solid answer to it." And again, it was beautifully done. It was very, very funny, very, very funny.
It exposed so much. It goes right in line with what I was saying of how writers and special effects artists and all these people are so lazy in their work. They, we'll just throw it in, we'll make this giant movie, and if it doesn't work, we'll just put a lot of visual effects on there, and they can just do it on the computer because everything's easy, right? And this is, I think, permeates across all of the media. I just think this was a very, very in-your-face example of how incompetent and lazy these reporters are. If you're going to make an assertion, have some evidence to back it up. That's kind of like basic bullshit. I mean, this is not difficult. But he couldn't do it.
I was lucky enough. The other day to introduce Amber Doig Thorne, who is in the new Winnie the Pooh movie. So what I did was looked up her biography, looked up, the movies that she's been in, the stuff that she's done and everything else, and actually did some homework to be able to ask her some questions and not just present her with stuff that just goes, right, so, Anonymous, he's saying, where is it? I know we're talking about movies here and everything else, but it was just, like I say, if you have a quick Google on YouTube.
We're talking about entertainment, and this was streaming, and it was very entertaining. So, God damn it, I'm going to get my entertainment where I can. Okay?
It was funny to watch because, like I say, seeing such an incompetent moron being owned by Elon was masterclass. It was fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, let's get back to.
It was so entertaining. I just had to mention it.
We should put a link up on our website. But in more entertainment news, not so movie, but entertainment news, American Horror Story. I keep looking at it. I keep looking at them all now to make sure I spell them right. Horror Story. Yeah, that's good. American Horror Story has now come up that they have announced they are going to be doing season 12 of the series.
Wow,
it's going to be starring Emma Roberts, who's great and we love and happy days, but also Kim Kardashian.
Okay.
And just it's one of the, when I read it, it was just kind of, oh yes, it was a slow news day, obviously. I've not been able to get into American Horror Story, any of them. I've tried a few episodes of each of the seasons and just none of them have kind of grabbed me at all. I've heard some people like them. Obviously there's 12 seasons, so obviously somebody likes them. But getting Kim Kardashian in there is scraping the wood on the bottom of the barrel, to get the viewing figures back. I mean, my goodness me, that's really something.
Look, dude, if there's ever a definition of an American Horror Story, it's Kim Kardashian.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Thank you, Maddink. Thank you, the Last Entertainment Outpost.
That's right. I'm just saying that Kim Kardashian is the very definition of an American Horror Story. We are horrified by her every single damn day. So
the image of her that I put up in the article was from her sex tape. Because remember, girls, if you want to get rich and famous, don't work hard and become an actress. Just have a sex tape released, and then you can get famous from that. Okay, so sleep with all the men that you can with a camera, and then just get famous from that leaked.
It does help to have a famous
video.
father, though. Because
father, mother.
Robert,
no, hang on.
Rob Kardashian was OJ's lawyer, so that's partly where that comes from. Just like Paris Hilton. She's one of the Hiltons, so she makes a sex tape, everybody cares. There's a lot of OnlyFans girls out there making sex tapes every day going, hello, I'm here, give me money.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not making
Have you slept with anybody famous, though? Have you got a famous dad? Because then we're not really interested.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking with girls on OnlyFans, oh, you didn't know who your dad was? Oh, that's a shocker. Let's not go down that one. Okay, so there were some other trailers this came out this week, which let's talk about this one first of all. Let's get our anger out of the way and talk about this one. So Oh, there's me being crappy.
Retype. Because Drunken Yoda is a drunk.
Okay, and so the Marvels trailer with that wonderful person that everybody loves, Brie Larson. She was so cute as a child, her mother named her after cheese. So the first movie didn't go down all that well. But obviously we have to have a sequel. And not just a sequel, a very ethnically diverse sequel with a teenage girl in it.
I don't think there was a thing in all of entertainment history that had luckier timing, except for maybe Ringo Starr.
Yeah, that's very good.
That movie comes out between two of the biggest movies of that decade, and was sandwiched between them, and it was a culmination of a decade's worth of movies that everybody was down for. It made $1 billion solely off of that, of people just, because Infinity War was very good, and it had a very good ending, and everybody was just on the edge of their seats, just going, oh, whatever.
Waiting for that next one, yeah.
Yeah, and so they would take any swill that they would have put out, and sure enough, we got our swill, and it was Captain Marvel. And so it sucked. And then now we got this trailer, and I'm looking at this trailer, I'm like, it felt like some sort of Disney kids afternoon live action show almost. It didn't feel like a real movie.
Out of all this, I'm just going to say this, out of all this, I actually genuinely feel for Brie Larson, because I do think she's a very good actress. Room was very good. And I also think she's very hot. And yet, the character which they gave her, and then again, this comes down to, we put up an article recently in the last couple of weeks about don't hate the actor. And it's not her fault that it was a badly written character who was just the perfect female with no adversity and just got the height of her powers and blah, blah, blah. And again, sort of people sort of saying, oh, Brie Larson's bloody awful. And it's like, no, she's not. She is quite good, but she just happened to be in a movie. And let's face it, if you got offered a Marvel movie, you're bound to sort of say yes to it. But then just to have it sort of so badly directed and so badly written, it's like I say, I don't think it's her fault.
Nah, no, it's partially her fault. She's got an attitude and a chip on her shoulder like you wouldn't believe. And I have watched her.
This is why I don't watch live action stuff.
I've seen her in the interviews. I've seen her in like she does this interview, and you can see Jeremy Renner's just soul dying, just can't wait to get away from her.
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah,
and she's just so like. They asked her if she's going to do another Captain Marvel. She's like, I don't know. Anybody want me to do it? And she's just got just this horror. She's done more than enough. And so if this is how she is in interviews when you're supposed to be putting your best face and best foot forward, I can't imagine what she's like behind the scenes. I can't imagine how awful she is and how, up her own ass she is probably most of the time. And now we're supposed to be like, oh, okay, don't hate the actor. It's like, well, there are times when the actor has done plenty of her own damage. And when you see how she acts in regular, settings, then you got to wonder what the hell's going on behind the scenes.
This is why I stay away from this. I do try to separate the actor from the from their art. In the same respect with Jamie Lee Curtis, because I spoke about her the other day. No, Bridget Fonda it was. Sorry, Bridget Fonda, because I watched Barbarella again just because I haven't seen it for a long time. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda. And again, people were saying, oh, she's awful.
Poor Bridget out of this. She didn't do nothing.
Oh, no, yeah, Bridget's great. But yeah, no, Jane Fonda. And then people were saying about her politics and everything else. And I'm like, I had no idea. I genuinely had no idea. And so, like I say, all I saw her is this sex kitten from the 60s, and the film, like I say, it's a terrible movie, but it's sort of entertainment. But like
Jane Fonda's had a long and proud history of hating the country that made her so successful.
See, but again, I've not got that from over here, like I say, and so I've missed all that. So I've been quite ignorant of the ignorance is bliss. Obviously, that's why I'm so happy.
Well, you think she'd calm down as she gets older, or maybe wisen up? First, she was in the North Vietnam tank during the war. People have never forgiven her for that. And now she was just on The View like a couple of weeks or months, maybe a month ago or something. She's like,
I've heard the View's very good. I've heard the View's very good.
Yeah, I catch when they do something really silly, and then I get the highlights in one of my typical YouTube subscriptions.
Yeah, same as me.
Somebody who's commenting on it, but she's like, "Oh yeah, I think people who don't like abortion should be killed," and they're like, "Oh no, she's just joking." She's like, "No, I'm not joking. She's clearly not joking." It's like, this is just an awful person. I don't know where. I mean. You got more money than God. You got all the fame and everything handed to you. You live better than the greatest pharaoh in Egypt couldn't even hold a candle to the life you've been able to live, and you just spit on it. A piece of shit. She's always been a piece of shit. Hanoi Jane. Yeah, that's what they called her.
Right, fair enough. Well, like I say, because I keep it all separate, like I say, I'm quite happy to do that, unless it is someone like, say, Kevin Spacey, where it's been so public, everything that's gone on, which is a shame because it does ruin some, perfectly good movies. And I mean, again, the guy is a great actor and he's done some brilliant roles, but it does then just take that edge off because you are looking at them going, they've done that. And, so it is a shame to hear these things.
Well, Brie was pretty public, and she said, she had that thing about, what was it, A Stitch in Time or whatever that movie was that came out a few years ago. I think Oprah was in it. Maybe I might have the.
Oh no, I know what you mean. Yeah, the was it Wheel of Time? One with Oprah.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember, but
it was that good.
Yeah, it's supposedly a really good book. I remember the book was out when I was a kid. I don't remember if I read it or not, but yeah, she was running her mouth off about that, and she's just been abrasive. It seems like every chance. Like, I just don't have any patience for these people who have a wrinkle in time. Thank you.
There we go. Yes.
I don't have any patience for these people who've got more money, more opportunities out the ass. They have more influence. They everything is handed to them. Everybody kisses their ass, and they just shit on everybody that they can. I'm like, what did I think we asked like this last week about Kathleen Kennedy. It's like, what did I do to you? Just go to your damn movie.
Yeah.
Paid the ticket, made you a zillionaire. Oh, I'm a big piece of shit, I guess. Okay, whatever. Go to hell.
I don't remember doing anything, to you. Not me personally. It's a bit of a shame that they just say. I mean, to be fair though, we are middle-aged white Americans, or middle-aged white men. So obviously that's the main problem. With us.
Well, we did start a YouTube channel to crap on her every time she comes up, so I guess that's something. I guess we gotta take that one, don't we?
Yeah, there is that. I mean, Kennedy's still talking Star Wars. I know Stark wrote this up. Do you know what? I didn't even click on it. I'm just not interested. I keep saying after Mandalorian.
I have it up here. Why don't you put up the banner and I'll go through it.
Hang on then, right. We hate Kathleen Kennedy. No, let's put up a proper one. More.
Isn't that the proper one?
There we go. Okie doke. So yes.
I
mean the Kathleen Kennedy and Star Wars, the savior of
that Rian
our
Johnson
universe.
movie is coming out any time now. 3 big screen movies in a galaxy far, far away were announced, and they were all totally different. Different places in the timeline, different focus. This could be a mess, or it could give them all much needed breathing room from each other. However, we all remember the last time Lucasfilm felt they didn't need to write down a coherent plan, don't we? The separation is deliberate, according to Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. She has been out on the interview trail following the event to talk up plans for Star Wars. She says there's no predefined schedule. They won't push out movies to hit a quota of releases per year as Marvel does. Quote, we really don't think about that way. I'm not kidding when I say that we talk about things in terms of story and the people involved in arriving in a place where we think it's going to be great and we should move forward. So even though we have a certain mandate around a slate where we're asked to maybe do, 1 or 2 a year. We wouldn't do that if we didn't feel we were ready. We did that before. We're really looking at these as ways in which people can enter Star Wars from different places and not feel the burden of, oh God, I got to catch up with everything that's been made before. So we don't really talk about in terms of trilogies per se. And I guess they're going to take a different approach. I know that they're talking about doing the Acolyte, which is going to be 50 or 100 years before Phantom Menace. And then they're talking about doing a new Daisy Ridley series, which is going to be 15 years later.
The whole, just to point on this, I think we spoke about it last week, but the whole Daisy Ridley thing is the final nail in the coffin for Luke, because Luke is the one who set up the Jedi Academy. He set up the new, he brought the Jedi back to life. But obviously now that Disney have killed him off, they've got to bring back, the most boring character who replaced him back to, save the franchise. And it's like, what, the character that literally killed the franchise, you're bringing her back. That's going to work out well.
Here's another example. I don't blame Ridley. It's not like she's getting tons of work. And if she has a chance to redeem the character, maybe she's taking some of this to heart. Maybe this will backfire on Lucas, and then they'll make her halfway decent.
Who is genuinely going to go and watch it? I know you've got these diehard cultists online who still think Star Wars, Disney, everything about it is fantastic, but who's going to go and watch it? Nobody. And it's just, again, bringing back Disney, bringing back Daisy Ridley as Rey, Rey Palpatine, literally kind of, just like I say, the character that kind of killed the franchise to save it. It's just, I don't understand them. I really don't understand them.
I mean, what if it's a Picard season 3 situation? I'm steel manning your argument here because I don't disagree with you. But what if we have a Picard season 3 situation here? Maybe they bring in the right person, they put together something, and everybody starts talking about it. I mean, is it possible? I look at Picard season 3 has been very, very good. It's been actually good. Talos has done a fantastic job. I don't see. I see very little, if anything, from Disney Star Wars that I've gone, that was really good. Even The Mandalorian season 1, season 2, I kind of look back on it, it's like, it's fine. It's kind of been ruined now.
Yeah.
But Boba Fett was terrible. Obi-Wan was terrible. Bad Batch has been fine. Rebels was fine. It was more Dave Filoni stuff, but I never thought the Clone Wars. I like the Clone Wars. I like them. I'm not telling everybody you need to watch them. They're amazing. I'm saying they were good. That's about it. Everything else has been fair to garbage. And so I don't know. I mean, can they bring in the right? Can they save this? Or is it? I mean, they have to save it, don't they? They have to, because they got nothing else.
There is always the opportunity that, yes, obviously that it could be saved. And I will always watch Star Wars just on that premise that, it might actually be good and it might actually be saved. And this one might be the one that's actually quite decent. I can't not look away from it. I've always got to give it that eternal hope. I'm also a completionist, which I kind of hate as well. So that if I start watching something, unless it's terrible, I'll carry on watching it, like I had with Mando. Like I say, that episode with Lizzo and Jack Black was just, it was to me, it was the worst thing I've seen since Last Jedi. It was terrible. But yeah, I still had to give it a go, and I'll watch this week's episode as well. And getting Daisy back again, it just depends, because it's just, if Kathleen Kennedy has got her grubby little fingers all over it, then what is the point? What's going to be the point of watching it? Because she's just going to ruin it. I don't have any faith in her to do anything. Of course, I didn't have any faith in Kurtzman, but I guess he's been hands off on this. I don't know. I mean, it's not. It's such a weird. There's so many players in this. It isn't just one person. Although the buck's got to stop somewhere. But I'm trying to. This is interesting. Okay, so Star Wars can't be saved. I'm going to say the MCU can't be saved. I don't think. No. It's had its moment.
It's had its moment. done. Pixar puts out one or two every 3 years that are good, maybe. That's only one movie, let's say, and they've
although
tapered
I will
off a
say,
lot.
yeah, I was just going to say, I do think that the quality of their stuff, the last two Pixar movies, I haven't even bothered with. I think one of them was it the two kids in the van looking for their dead dad or something? And I don't think I finished it. And then the other one was the Soul Ghost or something or other, and I just didn't even bother watching it because
it's no coincidence when they Me Too'd Lasseter that everything went to hell for Pixar.
Yeah.
I look at I'm trying to think this through. Okay, so if Star Wars dies or they can't get because at some point they're not going to be able to make these anymore because season 3 of Mando's got nothing there as far as viewership. I mean, it's bad. The MCU is losing money. Quantumania, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will make money because it's the last one. James Gunn will make it. He'll make something that everybody will like. But after that, they're screwed. I really believe that MCU is screwed.
I'm not sure about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm hoping it's going to be good. But I mean, I read the other day that James Gunn says it's the best superhero movie ever. And whether he's just saying that because of the bravado that it's kind of his own swagger that he kind of says that kind of thing. But at the same time, I do wonder whether he actually believes that or not. And it's just kind of, don't build it up that much because you're not going to be able to deliver like that.
Yeah,
good.
I think he does. I think whatever. I think he's done. I like both the Guardians films. I think they're both good.
Oh yeah, I'm not taking that away. Yeah,
James Gunn has made very little that I didn't like, so I think he's fine. After that, I don't see anything on the horizon for Marvel for the MCU that's going to be good. So you've lost Star Wars, you've lost the MCU. They're not bringing in the Bucks. They're also not bringing in, because they have gone so badly, you're not bringing people into the parks anymore because there's nothing compelling there. Yeah. So what is the long-term end game for Disney, or what's going to happen to them? Because they've pretty much put everything they have on either Disney. Well, there hasn't been really a Disney movie come out in a while, like a Disney Princesses or anything like that. MCU is dying. Star Wars is dying. Pixar is not going to hold it up. So I just feel like that the snowball has just started rolling down the hill towards the bankruptcy. And
I was going to say, I think he's getting to the point that I don't understand how they kind of naturally let these things die. There was back in the day, you kind of like had the war movies and that was all the rage and everything. Then you had the Westerns and then you had this. And with the superhero stuff, they need to just let it die a natural death and then maybe bring it back in a few years' time. But they just can't think like that. All they think about is where this next product is going to come from and how can they draw it out. And, it's still popular and all this lot. And it's like, yeah, but it's not still popular, is it? You are losing money from it. You've got to realise that, that it is going to get to a point where it is completely dry and there's nothing left. You've got to understand that. And I just don't think they're there yet.
Well, I think there's plenty left in all of those tanks. It's just they don't have the people to do it. So let's just assume that they're not going to be smart enough to get rid of the woke HR people that run these things, and let's assume that that's going to continue. So you didn't spend. I mean, you spent some money, but I don't think they spent an insane amount of money for the MCU. Maybe somebody could check my work, but I don't think it was like the $4 billion they spent for Lucasfilm. And Pixar, they spent a fair amount of money on, but they've kind of centered their entire creative output around these three jewels, right? Yeah. Because they're not making Aladdin anymore. You know what I mean? They're not making that kind of stuff anymore.
Pinocchio and that kind. Yeah.
They've centered around those three jewels. Now they paid a pile they paid like $71 billion for 20th Century Fox, something ridiculous. Again, check my work on that, but I think that
No,
was
but,
a really
I mean,
high
yeah.
number. And I'm like going, okay, so you got that. I mean, what are you going to put out with that? More diehards? I mean, I don't know what Fox's stuff is, but I mean, you got the Simpsons. Simpsons is well past its prime.
Again, yeah, one of those series that is really, really. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I think it hits peak in sort of seasons 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. And then from there, it's just been going downhill. Every now and then there is something on which is funny, but again, it's well past its sell-by date.
I'm not a financial advisor, but but if I were, I would say sell your Disney stock quick, because I just feel like they are heading towards a wall here, and I don't see how they get out of it, because they have too much money tied up in these properties, and they're clearly following the sunk cost fallacy. They don't have the guts or the resources or the talent to do something new that really grabs people anymore. Bob Iger is not exactly they brought back a guy who put him into this mess in the first place, instead of, taking a chance on somebody that's just, this has got to change. I really believe within 5 years, Disney may be doing some Chapter 11 reorganization, because I mean, this just isn't working.
I saw the other day, and I mean, I think this was from Doomcock. So I mean, with his stuff, I always take it with a very large pinch of salt anyway. But I mean, he made a video saying that Disney are looking to sell Lucasfilm, and again, it's kind of, they would recoup their money from that, because in the right hands, Lucasfilm is a money printing machine. It's just there to be able to print money.
Hey, Elon. That's a lot cheaper than Twitter.
Yeah. Well, I thought Last Movie Outpost could put in a bid, at least. At least put in a bid.
Let me check the couch cushions and see what I got.
Yeah, that's right. Got a couple of quid down here somewhere. But I mean, again, with it, they would make obviously an awful lot of money back. But then it's kind of, I think it's one of those situations where they don't want to let it go. They do want to bleed it dry. Whereas if they did sell it to another company who then had a vested interest in actually making good Star Wars, it would then start making money again. And I think Disney would have some clause or something or other in the contract to sort of say, if the new movies start making money, we get, and I just, could you imagine trying to deal with Disney or work with Disney? Years ago, don't get me wrong, I would have sold my left testicle to do it. But now I wouldn't want to go anywhere near them, because you just can't trust them.
Then you have those stories where they're actually getting sued by showrunners now, and so they're not, any talent worth his salt is not going to touch them with a 10-foot pole. I'm looking at this from a business perspective. I'm looking at it from, I see no changes to what they want to do. In fact, I see a reversion to what caused this problem in the first place with Bob Iger's reinstatement, and I see them bleeding money, and I see things like Quantum Mania and Star Wars and Mandalorian and all this stuff just not hitting with people anymore. I see Buzz Light, the Lightyear movie, and these woke nonsense that nobody wants to take
Strange
kids
World.
to. Yeah, and you go, how? This is not sustainable. How could they continue this? It's not possible. And shareholders are revolting. I mean, something's got to give here.
Yeah. Ultimately, I know some people sort of say they're only focused on money and stuff like that. Movies have always been focused on money. Yes, there have been artistic license that came out, and and still there were great filmmakers that they've discovered, like Quentin Tarantino and people like that. But ultimately, it's always been about making money. But I just think now that it's, yes, you've got that message, which has got to be included in everything, and the inclusivity and diversity and everything else, which is just not helping. But ultimately, like I say, that they must see how much money they're hemorrhaging to know that there's a problem there, that it's got to be plugged up, and they've just got to pass it on to somebody else. You'd think, like you say, you can't maintain a business model losing so much money all the time.
Well, I kind of disagree with you. I mean, yes, it's always been about making money, but a good business focuses on the product And
Yeah.
if they're putting out a good product and they're doing well, which Walt Disney did, and that's, way back when, he was focused on putting out a great product that he thought would be better. And if he did it right, then the money came, which it did.
Right. Yeah.
And that's your focus on. If your end goal is focusing on the money, then you buy stuff that just seems like money makers, and you end up with shit like what happened with Lucasfilm. You know, Star Wars was not made to make money. It was made almost on a bet, and it was a dream of George Lucas, and it ended up becoming this thing, right? Because it was a quality product that people wanted to see. If you do that, if that's your focus, you will make the money will come.
Yeah.
If it's good. That's not what they're focused on. They're focused on the bottom line. They're focused on profits. That's why you have suits going in there and fucking with movies and all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't work because you can't create art on a balance sheet.
No. I suppose that's why so many companies turned down Star Wars, because they just didn't see a profit in it. Whereas 20th Century Fox took the risk, and then were stupid enough to give away, a percentage to Lucas of the earnings, because they just didn't think it was going to make all that much.
Well, they had about had it with his stupid space movie, and if it wasn't for Alan Ladd Jr., they were about ready to put the kibosh on it because it was going over budget and it looked like ass.
One of my favorite quotes was, "If Yoda is so wise with the Force, how come he didn't take a 1% gross like Obi-Wan?" Because again, like I say, but I mean, with it, like I say, I do understand what you're saying, but obviously, the film industry is there to make money. But like you say, when they do stumble upon people like Stanley Kubrick or, like I say, Quentin Tarantino, people who are box office draws, happy days, but it's just when you've got such major big products with massive franchises, which, like I say, should just be printing the money. I mean, if for example, I was talking about this with somebody the other day, the whole Thrawn trilogy, if they had made the Thrawn trilogy out of the sequels and actually stuck to the books and stuff, they would be just the figures would be off the charts. Stuff James Cameron in his top 3 movies and stuff like that, Star Wars would be right up there. But yet, they released Solo after The Last Jedi, after The Last Jedi, and it lost money in the box office. And you're just thinking, how is that possible?
Well, I think just the way you put that, and I think that's the problem, is that mindset. It's like, well, if you get this, you should be able to print money. It's like, that's the wrong mindset. You can't just take a property and print money just because it has the word Star Wars on it. You can for a little while. Obviously, they have. Yeah. But you can't continue to do that because you do not have people working with Star Wars that have the mindset and the passion and the understanding of Star Wars. And there is a possibility that, as vast and cool as the Star Wars universe appears to be, maybe it's an empty mind. It's a dead mine at this point. You can't get any more gold from them there hills. And so you went into it thinking this is the golden goose. It's like, no, the golden goose is taking risks on new things. Because that's what creates IPs. You are going the safe route. You are not, Disney's not taking any risks. Because they're buying established shit, and then they don't know how to deal with it. So in the end, they're destroying themselves.
Sorry, just reading through the comments ever so quickly there. Rogue Thoughts just said Disney bought a steakhouse and then said every menu item must be vegetarian. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's throwing me off the point now. Thank you, Rogue Thought. Put me right off my point now.
Did he give you a rogue thought?
He really did. I can't think what it was now. But I mean, like I say, ultimately, it is a shame that we have to wade through this crap of what they are doing until we can actually get to something decent. But it's just kind of, the more they pour on it, the worse it's just going to become. And like I say, I will always be a sucker, and I will always watch it, and I will always hate myself for doing so. I'm a masochist. What? I don't flog myself with a whip. I just watch Disney Star Wars.
I probably wouldn't if it weren't for, the site and wanting to talk about it. But I've kind of gotten to a point where I just find it fascinating is how I'm watching a company destroy itself. and it doesn't even realize how it's destroying itself. It doesn't understand what made it great in the first place, and so it's not willing to do those things because, putting up a giant theme park the way they did was a risk. Putting in the new one in Florida was a risk. Creating the feature-length animation was a risk. Creating the first Pixar movie was a risk. These risks are the ones that have paid off. And there was a lot of crap that didn't pay off. But that's how a theater gets longevity, or movie production house gets longevity. They can't do it by just buying somebody else's shit.
No, that's what I was going to say before Rogue threw me off, was when movies then do take a risk, like, for example, The Matrix. Obviously, The Matrix was a huge risk because of the way that they were shooting and everything else, but then it absolutely nailed it. And again, it's kind of like you say, it's about taking that risk. It's quite, it's no point coming back to Rogue Thought's, thing that if you buy a steakhouse and then decide we're going to put chocolate with everything, because everybody loves chocolate, and it's like, no, if you're getting steak and putting chocolate on it, it's not going to work, is it? You've got to have something. And people who come up with these original ideas are being pushed to the back because they're just trying to now find people who can just churn out the same old stuff. With these franchises, with Scream and all this kind of stuff, it's just, let's get a property, let's just squeeze that one dry, because we don't want to take a risk on a new one because people may not go and watch it. But if you write Scream on it, everybody's going to go and watch it and it's going to be fine. And that is a massive part of the problem.
Yeah, pillaging someone else's risk is just, you are eventually going to hit failure because you cannot continue squeezing these things to death. I don't think Scream 6 was a huge box office bonanza.
No, it was.
Maybe it
apparently
made a profit.
It's the highest box office gross for a Scream movie. So it has done quite well.
Well, it's making money. I don't know what to do. That's up to us to not see this shit, I guess. But we keep going.
See again.
So.
I know. Let's talk about something more positive. Hang on. Actually, this isn't going to be positive. No. See, that comes back to my favourite joke. My grandfather died in Auschwitz. He fell out of a machine gun tower. Hang on, I'm making a deliberate typo here. This is quite funny. I'll change it. I saw your soul leave your body then.
So juvenile. Approved.
Baywatch is making a comeback. Now, again, this is one of those things that Baywatch worked purely because Pamela Anderson had very large breasts.
I don't think I ever watched one episode of Baywatch.
I think I kind of have, but ultimately that is what the series was about. You did not watch it for the story. You didn't watch it for the Hoth. You didn't watch it. You watched it because Pamela Anderson was running towards the camera in slow motion and away from the camera in slow motion, and that was it.
There were a lot of other hot chicks on there that also ran at the camera in slow motion. So give them their due and their talent, both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. Like I say, Erica Eleniak and quite a few other, wonderful, wonderful ladies were on there. But how is Baywatch going to work in today's society is the problem. Because
I don't think it worked back then.
No, it did, because it
was garbage.
It was garbage, but it was entertainment. It was garbage, but it was entertainment. Nicole Eggert, another very fine example there. But to me, what made me laugh was immediately I thought of sort of, you have this hot blonde running down the beach and you sort of, looking at her backside and going, oh, yeah, not bad. Then it throws the front shot and it sort of starts on her face and goes down to her big bouncing boobs and then just goes down to the package underneath and it's like, ew. Like, sort of like Pamela Anderson with a package. He's just so
you're saying that's today. There's going to be trans Baywatch.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be that's the thing is you can't say it was like sexploitation, but I mean, ultimately it was kind of TV sexploitation. That it was just, like I say, you had hot women in bikinis, you had hot guys in bikinis, Billy Warlock and a few others, all, just being hot on the beach. That's what sold that program. But we can't do that now because we can't sexualize anyone, because that's awful. When you think of, like, say, for example, April O'Neil from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, when she was first on, she was gorgeous with massive boobs and everything else. Now she's kind of like a short, midget, 12-year-old girl type thing who's not sexualized in any way, shape or form. And again, there's always been downgrades of these characters that they start.
Let me be clear here. If they're going to make her 12, we don't want her to be sexualized, just so you know.
I want to say an 18-year-old. I have no interest in seeing this because I think Seth Rogen is completely sold out Ninja Turtles in every way. But it's just with all of these things that, as a teenage kid, you grow up like with Kim Possible, who was like really hot stuff. But like the more modern stuff is all got to be very don't teach your kids anything about hot women at a young age. And I think Baywatch is going to be the same. That there's going to be no sort of sexuality in it. Is it just going to be literally about lifeguards saving lives on a beach? That sounds boring. They'll all be wearing Victorian clothes, like all covered up,
It'll be Leah Thomas's first starring role. You know it.
It was like, oh my gosh! I think I saw a lady's ankle. It was quite revealing. So.
Hey. Baywatch 1915. Here we go.
Yeah, that's right.
Just run with the bloomers. It's like Granny from the Looney Tunes. She's running and bobby pins are flying on her back.
I can't give this lady mouth to mouth. She hasn't given consent. Could somebody fetch me a handkerchief and place it firmly over her lips?
I can't give her mouth to mouth. We haven't invented it yet, and everybody has typhoid.
Anonymous, don't suggest things like that because they might go. In fact, chances are there's probably a video out there that's called that. At our team meeting a minute ago, we just been told that there's a place that does waste removal, and they're called Love Junk. And I was immediately, my head went, "There's a website called Love Junk." Nah, it's not the kind of thing I'd click on. Gonna stay away from that. And so, yeah, Baywatch coming back again is just one of those things. It's not going to work for the modern age. People are too childish now to enjoy that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I just, to me, it's like, oh, we're gonna reboot Baywatch. I'm like, going, how much more do you got to scrape the bottom of the barrel for this? You're going to get that Lorenzo Lamas show where he was on a motorcycle or whatever, Renegade. You're going to do that next that nobody gives a shit about. I mean, it's like you're now getting syndicated shows that were on daytime UHF on weekends that nobody, barely anybody saw. I'm like, okay, come on. There's nothing left to reboot, guys. Just stop.
Sorry. I've just got to interject here. We've got a message here from Eggy. Sorry, chaps, just got home from the father-in-law's birthday. 5 hours of watching him chuck wine down his throat and rounding up with 45-minute rundowns of his favourite Monty Python sketches. That actually sounds quite good. That's something we should do. we should do a rundown of our favourite Monty Python sketches. But yes, unfortunately, Eggy won't be with us because A, I imagine he's partly drunk, and be a little bit Monty Pythoned out, which is a serious complaint here in Britain and happens to a lot of middle-aged men, and we shouldn't joke about it.
Not the drunk part, the Monty Python part.
No, yes. Being over Monty Pythoned is a serious condition, unfortunately, like I say, which is suffered by many Englishmen.
All right. That's enough comments. These got too silly.
They should reboot Airwolf. Yeah, but with a drone. Not a helicopter.
Airwolf. I absolutely adored Airwolf. I actually watched a little bit of it. It's not bad. But it still works to a certain extent.
My claim to fame was when I had a BMX, I had a black and yellow BMX, and my dad used to do printing, and he used to have but this is way before the days of computers and stuff like that. He had like a typeset thing where you could peel off letters and stick them on stuff. And my bike was called Street Hawk. It was like written on the bar.
Shut up. Shut. They're going to reboot that now. What'd you say that for? It's in the algorithm, you piece of shit. We're going to have a reboot of Street Hawk.
That always makes me think of, in The Simpsons, Night Boat. The crime-solving boat. Why is that always an inlet or a valley or
a canal or a fjord?
Yeah, but my BMX was called Street Hawk. I was quite proud of the fact it had just written in like, it was like an Arial font, just written on the frame, Street Hawk, and everybody knew it was mine.
Yeah, it's funny is that there's so many of these they have rebooted, and like I think they rebooted Knight Rider a while back.
Tried to.
Yeah, that didn't work. They rebooted V, the
oh yeah,
alien
no,
that didn't work. So I mean, like, yeah, now they're going to reboot the reboots.
Well, the thing is every now and then a reboot does work. When you think of like The Mummy, you know, I mean, there was obviously the original with Boris Karloff and Christopher Lee and so forth in the originals. Then they did reboot it in 1999 with Brendan Fraser and stuff. That worked, and it was fun, you know. And so now and then a reboot does just hit the thing.
At least they gave it a good 70 years. They didn't reboot something that came out last week.
That made me laugh, because they did say the other day that they wanted to do a live action version of Moana, and you're thinking that's like 10 years old. Why?
I don't think it's even that old.
Yeah, you know, it's like, when did that happen? I'll tell you one other thing.
2017, I think. 2016. It's barely 7 years old.
Forever Night. I don't know that one.
I think it's a vampire detective.
Oh, you have me a vampire.
I love the cocaine-fueled concepts of syndicated shows back then. It was so awesome. Okay,
I said that.
Vampire Detective. Awesome.
No, you see, you've never seen the sketch by Alan Partridge where he's coming up with pitches to the BBC. I posted it on the video I did a review of something this week and I posted it up there. And there's a bit where he's going, how about inner city sumo? We get fat guys in a pub car park and we draw a circle, we make them fight. And then he's going, no, I'm not interested in that. And then his last one, Alan sat there and he just goes, how about monkey tennis? And it's just kind of like, you know, you've run out of ideas, haven't you? No, I've got plenty more.
It's like South Park with the manatees. The manatees take a random words and they put them together, and that's how you have a show pitch.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. I'll tell you what I do want to talk about, because this was very good. Right, okay. It's probably going to say some spoilers, but I did see this week Pinball: The Man Who Saved the Game. The trailer for this came out.
Looked good.
The trailer came out at the same time as the trailer for Tetris. Now, I saw Tetris as well, which I thought genuinely was excellent. Absolutely brilliant. It was really well done. It was such a bizarre, weird film. But to me, this was kind of the whole Hollywood doing a duo type thing. You know, the origins of Tetris, the origins of pinball. And the story of pinball was, it was originally a game where you had a plunger and you would fire the ball and it would just bounce around and land in different things for scores, until somebody added flippers to it, and then that became more of a game of skill. But it was banned in New York because it was considered gambling. Even though, you know, you didn't win any money, people would bet on the outcome of it. And this one guy found that it's not about luck of where the ball goes. You can play the game as long as you like. If you have the skill, you can hit which buttons and so forth, whatever you like. But the way the story was told, it was brilliantly done, because, just reading the comments, it was brilliantly done because you had this older actor playing the real Roger Sharp, who was this guy. And every now and then, in the flashbacks of what was happening, everything would kind of carry on, but then it would come back to this modern day Roger, who would sort of say, no, that's not quite what happened. You're sensationalizing it a little bit there. What he actually said was so and so and so and so. My favourite part was, this one guy comes up to Roger and he says, this gambling thing's a whole thing. It's a load of mother and it cuts back to Roger, and he goes, "Oh, can we swear in this?" And the cameraman sort of goes, "Oh, we're going for a PG-13. So how many am I allowed?" "Just one." "Okay, I'll save this one." And it goes back and he says, "Mother flipping so-and-so." and like I say, there was just this little, the way it was done as a, in this documentary style with these flashbacks, it was really fascinating. I really, really enjoyed it.
It's funny, one of the YouTube channels I subscribe to is called Weird History. And he usually has these 10, 15-minute blurbs about something interesting in history that happened. It could be anything. It's, but I just find them interesting, And I believe he did one not that long ago about why pinball was illegal forever in New York. Not everywhere else, just in New York, as I understand it. And that this guy who was able to show the skill of using the flippers with pinball and bringing it back. And then, I'm guessing that the Weird History guy knew that they were making this movie, so maybe he decided to, cash in on the clicks on that. But
what a whore.
We're all slaves to the machine. You thought the Matrix was fiction. So I thought that's a pretty cool story. Then I saw they're making a movie out of it. I was like, and I need to watch the Tetris one because I know you and others have spoken pretty highly of it. I was getting a little like, oh, they're going to do one about BlackBerry phones. Are you kidding me with this?
But again, it's like with the whole Tetris thing. I just thought to myself, well, some bloke wrote a film, wrote a game and sold it. But it turned into sort of more like an espionage thriller, and in fact, I'd say an espionage thriller, which was better than some James Bonds, some of the James Bond. And it was just like I say, it was really well done. The way it was just played out. I do like Taron Egerton. I will always give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I mean, it's probably not a big one for you over there, but he did like Eddie the Eagle, which is the true life story.
That was great.
Because over here, Eddie the Eagle's like a national treasure. The guy's brilliant.
It was a big deal over here during that Olympics. I remember it was the '88 Olympics, I think.
King Kong was a good documentary.
he was the whole Eddie the Eagle thing was kind of a big feel good story in the coverage here. They were talking
underdog
about
and all that. Yeah.
Obviously, it was a bigger deal for you guys, but it was something that there's a lot of people that were kind of cheering for him over here, including myself.
Oh, right, fair enough. And so like I say, I'll give Taron Egerton the benefit of the doubt. He did do Robin Hood, which was awful. I mean, I couldn't tell you a thing about it now, but I mean, like I say, he has done stuff like Kingsman and that kind of thing. So like I say, I'll always give him the benefit of the doubt. And he played just this cheeky chappie in this film who was trying to buy the game from the Soviets at the height of the KGB and all this kind of stuff. And in some places, it was kind of weird because there was very different tones to the movie. That some of it is quite lighthearted and you're laughing. And then there's a moment where one of the KGB threatens to throw a man's son out of a window, and it's like, this is a bit dark. It's like, I thought this was like quite light-hearted or whatever, and it's kind of like, I'm hoping if he does throw him out the window, he's going to land like this, and then 4 blocks are going to disappear. Just to make it. What do you mean you hate? Sorry, you hate feel-good movies? That's feel-good. You shouldn't. That's a very bad thing to say.
Don't watch Schindler's List then.
I must admit, I do like a story with a twist at the end, kind of thing like that. But however, no, the occasional feel-good movie, there's nothing wrong with that. It's highly entertaining. So no, like I say, I would highly recommend Pinball: The Man Who Saved the Game. It was interesting. I did also like, and this is unbelievably shallow, but I don't care. Crystal Reed was in it. Now, Crystal Reed sounds like a stripper. And next on the stage is Crystal Reed. But her character in it was just, I fell in love with her. She was lovely in it. But just the whole film it is a very good film, and I do highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
I'll give it a shot.
I can't think of anything else to talk about. I think we've covered everything.
I saw Mario. don't know if
okay.
I
No,
was-
go on. Talk about that then. Talk about that. Go on.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Let's banner up that.
gotta
Hang on, it's all
banner it
really
up.
professional. Hang on.
I won't know what to do, man. You make me work during the thing, for the cuts.
The
yes, I
Mario
did
movie's out. Seamless.
He's not the greatest host on YouTube for nothing, folks. Yeah, I saw. Okay, so I did my review of Mario, and the reason why I watched it because I found it interesting how it's been enlisted into the culture war.
Okay.
And the funny part to me is that it doesn't seem to really want to participate. It just,
But just
no,
wanna
I
make a
don't
good
want to be in the
movie.
culture war. I just want to
Yeah.
make video games. You get your ass in here, Mario, fucker.
So you like women?
Yeah. It didn't have anything woke in it, but it didn't feel like it was some sort of anti-woke movie. It felt like it was just trying to play the video game crowd. That was it. And I'm not, I know like the original Mario Brothers, of course, Donkey Kong, and I played a little Super Mario Brothers, but not much. I didn't have a Nintendo back in the day. And I played a little bit. I went like way back when I visited my aunt. She had a Nintendo 64, so I got to play a little Super Mario World 64, whatever. And that's it. That's basically what I know about Mario Brothers. I just, it's a little thing. And I do remember the Mario Super
They're
Show.
Italian.
So,
They're Italian plumbers.
yeah.
That's what you know about them.
I remember the Mario Super Show with Captain Lou Albano on Saturday morning cartoons and the dumb rap, and they used that in the movie. And
Right.
it just, so there was, to me, this was Easter Egg, the movie. And it had the thinnest of plots, which is basically Bowser comes to Mushroom Land or Mushroom Kingdom, whatever it's called, and he's there to take it over so he can marry Princess Peach. That's it. And everything is basically figuring out how to stop him, and they use these thinnest of moments to do some video game shit. I did play Mario Kart with my kids when I got a Nintendo Wii way back when, so that they have that in there.
I genuinely believe that Mario Kart will be the start of World War III. It took over from Monopoly for Family Feuds.
It did. Throw a blue turtle at the wrong time, man. Boy, oh boy, people you will be out of the will. Let's just say that. But yeah, I mean that's all these moments. Like there's a moment at the beginning where it's very 2D platformer, and the way they show it, and then there's like he's training with Princess Peach, and I know like Tim Pool talked a lot about it. Says woke as hell. She can do everything right. He can't do anything. I was like, well, first of all, it didn't really come across that way. I don't know what he was seeing, that he felt like he was such a loser.
I think so.
And second
I was
of all,
going to say, sometimes I think people just see the agenda no matter what. My favourite comment we ever had once on the website was the original June of '86, and somebody said, "Oh, it's unbelievably homophobic," and I was like, "Was it?" I don't remember seeing any of that in it. And it's just kind of some people just see the issue in whatever film they're going to watch. But yeah, sorry, your second point was.
Yeah, people see what they want to see. So Peach has lived in the Mushroom Kingdom like since she was a toddler. She ended up there by accident, and they kind of raised her and made her the princess. So she's been doing this stuff for her whole life. And so she went through the training course, and then Mario went through it, and he screws it up. But he gets better and better as he goes along, trying to figure it out. Because he's been there for a day, and Peach has been there her entire life. And I'm like,
fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't like trying to show Peach is so much better than Mario. That was clearly have you ever gone through the training levels and they just piss you off and you keep effing it up, or you keep trying and trying, you F it up, and you keep resetting and throwing the controller at the screen until you finally get past that one. That's all that was. It was just, that kind of thing in any video game where he's like, damn it, and you get a little further, but you keep messing up at this one spot. That's all that was. And all of this was just, let's have video game stuff. Now, all this being said, was it a great movie? Was it outstanding? Was it amazing? No, it was a pure kids movie, and the kids And anybody who liked Mario Brothers, you'll find
enjoy
something
it.
in it, and you'll enjoy it. It won't make the parents want to claw their eyes out, and the kids will love it. And there's nothing in there that's offensive. It's super. I said Super Mario is super inoffensive. The kids are it's just a basic kids movie.
Entertainment.
It's doing
yeah.
And it's doing very well, and that's fine. That it's doing very well. It's not for me. It's not for people who don't have either a real affinity for Mario or who aren't 7 years old. You're just not going to get as much out of it. But as far as, is it fine? It's perfectly fine. It's not trying to be a culture war movie. It's not trying to be an anti-culture war movie. It's not trying to be woke, none of that. It's just trying to tell a bunch of stuff about video games, as far as I can tell, and just celebrate Mario. And that was good enough for me. I was like, okay. Did have moments in there where it's like Pool's like, well, she could have saved him, but she ended up kicking the star over to Mario so that he could do it, but he still had to have her do it. Like, okay, if this had come out 20 years ago, nobody would have said shit.
Yeah.
So,
fair enough. Okay, like I say, I'm looking forward to seeing it, but I'm going to be lazy and just going to watch it on streaming.
I wouldn't bother to go to the theater or anything, but it's not like you're not going to come out of that going, wow. You're going to come out of that going, okay.
It's a Mario.
Yeah.
You're not going to be saying that either, because it's Chris Pratt.
No.
Mr. Franchise, as somebody called him the other day.
Yeah, they're all mad because he doesn't use the voice. And it's like, nobody got pissed off at Bob Hoskins for not doing that voice. I don't get it.
Well, not just that, but also the original voice was kind of, mildly offensive is the best way to put it.
I don't think it is. I think it's just...
No. Yeah, what I mean is it was somebody doing it, and yet, nobody said anything about that. I went to... You never have heard of Brookside. There was a program called Brookside over here, and it was made in Liverpool, and everybody's talk like this, like really thick, which I shouldn't say, and I apologise to anybody from Liverpool. But what made me laugh was I went to Liverpool a few years ago, and I actually travelled on a ferry on the Mersey, and because there's a song over here called "Ferry on the Mersey," and when I got to the ticket sale, I said, "Hi mate, all right." I said, can I sing? Just jokingly, I said, can I sing Ferry on the Mersey when I get on the ferry? And he goes, it'll be fine, mate. He said, it's the first thing they play when you get on there. And I was going, all right. I said, how about singing it in a mildly offensive Brookside accent? And he said, well, if you don't mind yourself swimming home. Which was all in good fun. But yeah, like I say, it's a shame they didn't do that, because he was Italian and there's nothing wrong with that. I did like, just to add to this, I did like the fact that the Colombian, can't think of his name, the guy who played the car guy in John Wick, John Leguizamo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Colombian.
The original Luigi.
The original Luigi was offended by the fact that Luigi in this movie wasn't voiced by a Mexican actor. You're not from Mexico, though, are you?
Neither is
John?
Luigi.
I know. And again, it's just sort of, oh, dear. And yeah, and he's called for a boycott on the film, which has really worked. Well done. You've really put that film to bed. It's one of the biggest box office smashes this year so far.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's like, I mean, I'll say this. I thought it was better than Avatar 2, The Way of the Water, sadly enough. I don't understand why that movie is huge, but whatever.
I don't get it either. Don't get me wrong. To look at the film, it is stunningly beautiful. And the graphics and so forth are absolutely, perfect. I didn't notice one hole in the graphics at all anywhere. But just the story, I still can't keep figuring out how the bad guy got... Because Spike is his kid... But who did he get pregnant? And this sounds horrible as well. This
Shut up and
Go on.
hand over your wallet.
Yeah. But also, and this sounds incredibly specious, but they all look the same, so I can't tell who's who. He keeps going on about his two kids, and I'm keep thinking, oh, which one was that again? Or was that the girl one? Because none of them have got boobs or anything. So, it's very difficult to understand. So I will eventually get around to finishing it, but it will probably be an awfully long time. I'm watching it in 5-minute intervals, just piecing it together every time.
It's not porn. You don't do it that way.
Yeah, it's not porn because I don't feel great afterwards.
No. I feel exactly the same. I hate myself afterwards.
I feel dirty.
I feel dirty and used.
Okie doke.
I guess it is porn.
Unfortunately, Eggy can't make it. We just had a message from him saying he can't make it because he's a lightweight. But I'm sure he'll be back with us soon. And with Sean as well, because obviously we've been missing Sean for a few weeks. He's had some family problems, but he is okay and he's doing okay and he will be back with us soon. And we do wish him all the well. The big puff. Because we're men, we don't show feelings. And
Except
so forth.
about Star Trek. Oh, the Enterprise is back. This is so wonderful. The best day of my life. About when your kids were born. Fuck them, it's the Enterprise.
My favourite quote from that is in, I think it was the Robot Chicken, when they had this guy telling the story of when he met George Lucas. And then it cuts to him being an old granddad, and he's going, and that was the day I met George Lucas, and it was the best day of my life. And his grandkids are going, what? Not even when we were born? Not even close.
Not even close.
It's great. Okay. I know you introduced us, but would you like to take us out? Or do you want... Oh, go on then.
Nope,
Go on.
I want you take us out this time. You need to earn your keep around here.
Only I got some. You can visit us anytime at the Last Movie Outpost. Our Twitter is at Movie Outpost. I am at Boba Phil. He is at Drunken Yoda 1, and Matt is at Matt Eddie Weggs. Facebook at live. Quick, they're going crass. Facebook. LastMovieOutpost.com and Instagram LastMovieOutpost.com. You can find us on all social media.
Treat me with a little more respect now, doesn't it?
I'm used to the introductions. I don't know how to do the endings. I don't know how to finish a thing. Oh, look at this stuff. That's the last comment. Thanks, gentlemen. Hope you have a great. Hope everyone has a great week.
Yes, I hope everybody does. I don't know. I might go see Mafia Mama because my wife wants me to see it, which I actually was kind of like, okay. Housewife is going to be in Mafia. That's kind of cool. 27%. Fuck.
Tony. Well, I was going to say Toni Collette gets a pass because again, she's one of those actresses that is generally her stuff is pretty good, so she gets a pass. So she gets a free pass on it. But yes, make sure you check into the website every day because we always have new stories going up, new reviews going up, and all kinds of entertainment news. And come and join us in the chat at the end of each article and join in the fun. Yoda, any last words from you?
Nope. Other than the chat gets spicy.
Yes.
I do not mod anything.
It is quite entertaining. If you go to the website, just go for the chat sometimes. Sometimes I don't even bother with the article. I'd go straight to the chat and see what everybody's bitching about. It's hilarious.
Let's see how much they hated what I wrote. Oh, 75 comments. This one pissed them off.
I'll just put on my nuclear-proof suit when I go into the comments. Nothing from me today. I like to say I'm still working on an Outlook at the moment, but I have been working on I'm just going to give myself a free plug here, my other YouTube channel about some old documentaries that I made with my dad. It's been going very well. I'm actually annoyed at myself because a video I put up only last week hasn't hit 10,000 hits yet, and I'm a bit annoyed at that. Where I should be overthralled at how much it's making, but that's the. But now that the YouTube channel is making money, I can actually get back to making stuff for here, which I promised Yoda I would do back in January.
I've been promising I would too, and my work has kicked my butt, so it's this all week that just keeps it going. But
excellent show, gentlemen. See you next time.
Yes. Thank you, Setlick. Thank you, Rogue Thought. Thank you, Annie Musso. Thank you. Was there anybody else?
Eggy was on there.
No, I'm not thanking him. Screw him.
And Maddink was on there as well.
Maddink. Yes. Thank you, Maddink. And thank you again, Big Gator, who always responds to all my clips a lot. Have you noticed that? Big Gator is...
I've been leaving the comments to you, so I don't want to interact with these... Yeah. I don't want to interact with these people at all if I can help it. Oh, hang on. Sorry.
Don't hurt yourself, man.
No, for some reason that was my only working headset. This one's not working, but this one is, and that one fell out. Sorry. It's because I rushed
my
in.
sex
That's what
life.
it was. Only one testicle's working. What is that?
Yeah, it kept falling out. I don't know.
On that note,
Yeah, let's end this before we get demonetized here. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you on the next stream.